Hello, and welcome back to another episode of I Want to Believe You.
We're two skeptics out to discover the truth behind your paranormal claims.
Real stories from real people with real experiences.
I want to believe you.
Do you? We are your hosts, Doug and Becky.
And welcome to episode 6. So today we have some videos, some photos, and some stories for you. We're going to start off with the videos.
Our first video here we are calling Haunted Basement. Alright, it says, let me start off with a quick introduction. I'm Bart, 29, from Belgium.
Hi Bart.
Hey Bart. And I've been living for 25 years in a 16th century castle. I've moved to a new constructed house since, but my parents are still living there. I've always been a non-believer and still am. But the last few months, I've been transforming to more of a doubter.
Oh, I like the ones that are from the skeptics.
Yeah. And he admits, he isn't going to a believer, he's now a doubter.
Mm-hmm.
Throughout the years, we all experienced some strange happenings, going from footsteps, knocking on doors, to hearing somebody coming up the stairs in broad daylight with like 7 witnesses hearing it all. There are too many stories to start summing up, but we always tried giving it logical explanation, even when it was nearly impossible.
That's good.
So they definitely sound like skeptics.
Mm-hmm.
They ask questions, and that's important.
That's what paranormal investigation is all about.
It's definitely more believable coming from somebody who at least takes the steps to figure out, can we explain this or not? Since a few months, we wanted to mount a few cameras in inhabited rooms and areas, such as the basement. They have been recording for 3 months now, and 2 clips are pretty chilling, and I really wanted to share them with you, so you can give an honest opinion of what might have been going on. The first video was captured late at night, must have been around 1 a.m. First of all, the timestamp was completely incorrect. It was nighttime. Can be verified because it's pitch dark in the room, and no light was coming from the window on the far right side. Some things seem to reflect on the camera's, what's that say, IR light?
IR light, yeah. I heard this, someone commented on our video about getting an IR camera. I think it means night vision.
Infrared.
Yeah, that makes sense.
There we go. Gotcha.
We got it.
Got it.
We're professionals over here.
Yeah. Just had to scan the brain for the right words. Infrared light. But it doesn't look like the dust we often see. It was more smooth. But it's what followed is what really gives the chills. All of a sudden, you can hear a conversation of some sort. It's almost inaudible. We can't make out what's being said, and we don't recognize any voices, but it made our hair stand straight up, knowing that I had been sleeping just next to the room for 25 years.
Ooh.
Yeah. So let's pull up the video.
So I decided to place the camera in a different room of a 16th century castle. It only starts recording when an alarm is triggered by the motion sensors. That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
It was filming for over a week. Not much interesting was captured. However, that's creepy. What is that, like an attic, you think?
That's what it looks like, yeah. Except for
One
the
night, time was incorrect for some reason. Around 1:30 a.m., this alarm was triggered. 2 orbs,
Seen that, yeah?
clearly followed by a conversation.
You can definitely hear the talking.
And there's the orb to follow it.
The orb.
That to me looked like a speck of dust.
It could have been. It kind of looked like it was.
So did he say he was...
No, this is the talking. You hear it. sounds like maybe someone like on the phone or something. So I don't really hear two voices. I hear the one, you know.
So this is in Belgium as well, didn't it? So it's
Yeah. What's interesting though is he said that something triggered this camera. So these cameras are, you know, they pop up like this in the security or whatever he said when they're triggered, right?
Yeah.
You know what he said?
Mm-hmm.
So it's interesting that it was triggered and then the voices started. So yeah, so that's what it is. It's movement that triggers it. That's what it is. So that one's difficult to pin down as paranormal because we don't know where the sound was coming from. The rest of that video had music over it, so it wasn't like we could hear every time the camera switched if the sound was switching with the camera or if there was like one central mic in the house picking up something, you know. I don't see why they would have one central mic picking things up, but I don't know. I can't tell you that it didn't because he had music playing over all the rest of the footage, and then it got to this scene and he turned the music off and let us hear the sound. So I'm not going to put that down as paranormal. I don't know what triggered that though. I could assume that if dust is getting close enough to the camera like it did there, what we called an orb, that it could trigger the camera to switch over. I mean, it's still movement, and it's just, you know, it's just the mechanics of the thing that pick up movement. It's not like it only picks up movement from a person. It's just picking up movement. So if something flew right into the to the lens, I can imagine it switching.
And that orb that I saw, it wasn't circle like most orbs. People say it was like scraggly, like a bit of a cobweb or something.
Yeah,
maybe?
yeah, I seen that. Yeah, that's exactly what it looked like to me too.
But also, they said they were from Belgium, so the talking that was inaudible, we couldn't understand it even if we wanted to.
It would have been inaudible to us, no matter what. That's true.
So again, we can't really say much because obviously we don't speak the language. So, okay, so the next video, he says, the second clip was recorded about a week ago. It was recorded in the basement. Spooky things always go down in the basement.
The basement and the attic.
That's where they like to live.
That's where they like to live.
At the time, nobody was home, and we were all at a restaurant. A faint light could be seen moving from part of the basement to the left side into the right side before disappearing. Bear in mind that the castle is in the middle of a big property. The street is really far away and can't be seen from the building, so street or car lighting is impossible. Makes sense. If I had a castle and it was on next to the A4, I'd be pissed. Also, the light comes clearly from the left side, and there is the central section of the basement where are no windows. Nobody was on the premises at the time. We will install a second camera in the basement soon.
Okay, so let's check this out. I mean, clearly from here you can see windows. There's a window here I can see. Looks like there's one back here. These little areas here look like windows, like the little wells for them.
They do look like windows, don't they?
Yeah, those are like little wells for windows. So let's go ahead and check this out. I mean, when I think castle and I think basement, I'm thinking like a dungeon.
Okay, so you can see the light moving there.
Yeah.
Again, I can see why he said that wouldn't be a car, because it looks like a car moving past, but he said that you couldn't rule it out because...
Yeah.
Maybe he meant round the corner there are no windows.
There it is again. Yeah, maybe there's no windows over there. We don't have any evidence of that. Let's watch that again. See, my only argument to this would be it definitely looks like a light, only because it doesn't come off the wall. Look, it's just against the wall. Even when it's back here, even when it's back in this area, here in the corner, it's shining on this too. It doesn't ever... If it's hitting this, then it's questionable to me that it passed behind it. It clearly passed in front of this. Let's watch it again just so we can see what I'm saying. See it? Even when it was back here, it passed in front of that. So there has to be some source of light coming from here. It gets to about here and stops. Watch.
Yeah.
And you can see that's probably where this wall begins.
Yeah.
You see? Right around here? That's probably where this wall begins. Wish there was another angle on that, but no matter what, that's my opinion is that was a light. That didn't look like an entity or a spirit of any sort to me. It just had all the characteristics of a light passing.
Because we've seen other videos where a light source does move around, but it, like you say, it doesn't bounce off every single wall. It will just move across everything.
If that light
looking
passed
strange.
behind this beam, hit this wall, and came this way, I'd be more convinced that it was something paranormal.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact was that it was shining in this corner and on this beam seemingly at the same time, from what I seen, and that's just all the characteristics of a light coming from like on the other side of this wall, shining through and coming across.
It could have been someone was in the basement with a torch or
Yeah.
flashlight.
A flashlight.
But yeah, no, so...
When I think torch, I'm thinking of Frankenstein's monster. People like chasing him.
Alright, so
Yeah, so that one wasn't very convincing. I'll say the first video. See, the thing is that they did say that they're skeptics themselves. They sold me on that. That's why I thought these videos were about to be extremely interesting. I thought they were going to be very convincing, but I'd say that they were some of the least convincing.
well, yeah, like the talking, it would be helpful to know if there was anywhere that they could pick up.
Yeah.
Like you said, like a phone call, but they don't mention that. So
yeah, and saying that this is all in a castle, if that was like an upstairs shot, it's like you would think that they'd be far enough away from any other room with somebody in it to be able to debunk that was somebody else's voice in the house. Again, if it was like a couple voices talking, or if like, I don't know what it would take to convince me that the inaudible. Again, I don't speak Flemish, I don't speak German, I don't speak Dutch, I don't speak French, any of those languages, so I couldn't tell what they were saying. Maybe if they were speaking English and I could hear like what they were saying, how they actually sounded, their accents, I might be able to pin it to a certain time, but I couldn't, so I'm going to go ahead and say that, in my opinion, on a paranormal scale, it's probably a 0 for me. On a scary scale, 0 as well. I think the fact that it's in a castle would be the most scary thing to me, because being that it's that old 16th century, a lot of things have probably happened there. It's probably seen a lot of lives. Maybe not people die in it, but maybe. And regardless, a lot of lives that are no longer with us have been there. So it's like the breeding ground for the idea of the paranormal. What about you?
I would give it a -1 because I always go one below you.
Every single time, yeah.
Yeah, no, like you said, like the light just it literally it looked like a light just passing by.
Yeah.
Could have been someone with the torch if there was no other light sources or something. Again, we don't know this person, so there's no credibility in that area. Like you said, the other video, it just sounds like someone on the phone, maybe in the floor below, next door or something. Not next door, but in the next room.
I wish that they might have like picked up footage of like the room they thought the voices were coming from, or maybe even like had footage of the rooms around this room to prove like there was nobody in this area.
Yeah.
Instead of us just taking their word on it. I mean, if you got video footage and this place is under security like that, you would think that these cameras would be everywhere.
Yes.
Especially in a big castle, you know.
But yeah, so I'm probably with you. I'll probably give that one a 0.
Yeah, it's probably a 0. And even with the upstairs shot, with the people talking, they were claiming that they seen orbs, and that one orb just totally looked like a piece of dust, like
or a bit of cobweb, because it's a bit angly,
some web,
like,
that's what it looked like. Not convinced. So let's go ahead and dive right into this one. This is a ghost, a real ghost, caught on camera. We'll be the judge of that.
So aggressive. I don't see anything yet. I see a chair and a garden.
If I remember correctly, this one was decently long. Let's see right now.
It's someone's phone, isn't it?
It looks like
it's moving.
Yeah. Oh well, apparently it's a security camera, and which very well. I don't know.
They might be
it
filming
could be they're
the
filming
security.
it on their phone from a screen. You can almost see it.
That's exactly what's happening.
You can almost see it right here.
That's exactly what's happening.
Yeah, so let's see.
So it's 9 o'clock in the evening. It'd be really weird if something happened at 9 o'clock on the dot.
That would be.
That would be really spooky.
That would make me feel like it was what I've read about, like a residual thing, that is triggered maybe at a certain time. I think I seen something there.
You did?
Yeah. It was like in this region. I think it moves across here, if I'm not mistaken. This is, I think if I remember, because I did scroll through this to make sure it wasn't one of those fake jump scares. Nope. It kind of looked like I seen something there.
Oh yeah, I can see it. So that's something that you can't put down to dust because there's a time frame. And if it was dust, it would be really quick, you know?
And if the time's right on the video there. Oh, look. Oh, no, that's seconds. Okay. If the time's right there, then it's, obviously in real time. It's not. Yeah, you can see it. Look. See this little thing here?
Mm-hmm.
That's moving.
It's almost like it's dragging itself across the floor.
You look here, and you can see the times moving at normal speed. And this thing's just kind of slowly moving, like, as to not be noticed. That's definitely, I mean, if this isn't edited, if this isn't them like putting in like a little orb in here to kind of like fool us, this is like probably the best evidence of an orb that I've seen.
Well, if it was edited, they've done a really good job of it because it's a recording of a recording.
Yeah, exactly.
The phone is moving
Yep.
as a recording is, and it's moving with the screen.
Yeah, this is the best kind of evidence. This is the best kind. I mean, other than that, it could be like a flashlight, because look on the door there. See how it's like lighting up the door?
Yeah. Someone dicking around with the flashlight.
It could be, but I mean, that's some very good. It could be faked.
You had to go and ruin it for me, didn't you?
I don't know, but when you look at it, let's go back and watch it from a certain point. It's not done yet, but let's just go back.
If it was a flashlight though, on the floor, it would be more of like an oval shape.
Let's see,
wouldn't it?
We can see it here. Look, and
That's not
it's
flashlight,
still there in
is
the
it?
light, unless the flashlight's brighter than the light. I don't see.
No, because it would reflect off the chair differently.
You're right. No, right here is probably our best evidence. It passes under the chair.
I didn't even see it on the chair though.
It completely passes under the chair. I don't see it shining on the chair.
I do.
On the chair? Do you?
On the see?
Yep, I do see.
But then not on the back too. I see it on the back too.
Yep, you're right. On the seats, you can see it on the seat.
Does it go over the beam as well though? Yeah.
Yeah, so that's probably a flashlight.
Do you think?
It's convincing though. I don't know.
No, I feel like a flashlight on the chair.
See, the thing is we're speeding it up here. I would think if it was a flashlight, someone was messing around, they wouldn't have moved it so damn slow and so fluid at the same time. It's so hard to move slow and fluid like that. So if we were to watch it from here.
Yeah, look at it on the chair though. Like if it was a flashlight, it would bend differently. Like the light would.
Yeah, and it's just interesting because you can tell by the time here that it's it's moving in real time. It's funny because I thought it appeared here, but now when I rewind and speed it up to speed it up a bit, you can see it come from here and move across the screen. I didn't notice that at first.
I can't see it right now, but we
it's
know that it's
in that
there.
light. Yeah, it's like right around here. I think.
I don't think it is a flashlight. It's too like.
So I'm saying they're not. It's.
And it stays in like a full circle the whole time.
Yeah, it does.
Right there, it would. And if you were shining a flashlight, if you move a flashlight like that, it will change from a circle to an oval.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
And it doesn't, so.
You're right. It stays pretty.
There's no way
it stays like a
flashlight.
perfect circle. Yeah.
Good theory, but.
Yeah, no, we have to cover that. We have to cover it. In my opinion, I think we've debunked the flashlight idea.
Like, I see where you got it from. Like right here, you think that looks like.
That's where I was saying, but at the same time, like you said, at this point, it'd be reflecting off whatever's here. It looks like, you know what I mean? It would be an oval shape.
Yep. Because you can't have a flashlight being a pure circle unless you're on top of it like this the whole time.
It's true, yeah. Again, I think this is probably the best evidence of an orb that I've seen so far. It's very orb-like.
It's slow.
It's moving slow. It's almost like it's moving like with a certain intelligence rather than like what a dust particle would. And it looks, when you move it in this time, when you move it like fast, it looks like an orb that you would see on a camera that someone would be like, I think I caught an orb.
But you can tell from the timestamp.
But the thing about it is that like orbs are moving like, they send you these videos and they're moving fast. It looks like a bug or something. This is clearly not that. You can watch the time tick at regular speed, And this thing's moving slow as hell. It's almost like I don't want to get caught. It's like almost has like a mind of its own. It's the weirdest thing. Yeah, very orb-like. I will give that one. I'll say that is definitely something I would put in the realm of paranormal. Supernatural, probably not. There's probably an explanation for it, but I don't know. I can't explain it.
What would you rate it on the paranormal scale?
I'm giving that like a 7 out of 10. It's not scary, but it's very cool, and it's raising questions in my mind as to what it could be. We covered the flashlight idea, spotlight.
I'm gonna give it a 5 out of 10, just because I feel like someone could have edited this in a clever way.
Yeah, so a 7 out of 10, 5 out of 10, halfway. We'll just give it the halfway. It was interesting. We're pretty new to this. That's why we're doing it. It's something that intrigues us a lot. So if there's something we're getting wrong, let us know.
Mm-hmm.
Teach us. Show us the way.
The way.
The way.
Okay, so the first picture we have for you today, they have a little background story behind it, and it says, well, they're talking about the picture. They say, I see what looks to me like a Native American spirit, like they are kneeling down, but I wanted to get another opinion. But other people I have had look at it, so they see demonic faces around the edges of the picture. But as far as the Native American looking one, I personally don't feel like it was negative, but it was one of the few cases where I've seen something and was actually able to catch a picture in the lights that are in the background. So they're saying it's a city in the distance.
Okay, let's take a look.
Okay.
So we can see it. I do see the lights that they're talking about in the background. So you can definitely tell they're in like a city. Doesn't look like a very large city, but a city of some sort. They said around the edge they were seeing faces of the image. I don't see.
They said that they weren't seeing faces, but other people were.
Okay, I don't. Right now, I don't see anything on the edges. I do see, like, if you look here, it kind of on the right side, just underneath the far right lights, it does kind of look like there's something, but that's probably just from the lights.
I see like 2 bright lights. There's that big black like triangle in the middle where the lights are, and then to the left and right there's a red light which kind of like skulls. Do you see that? Like the mist above the lights.
Like here?
Yeah.
I can see that. I mean, I think that's just
I think it's just the lights, but it's
just one of those anomalies.
Faces.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say that that's anything supernatural, or I wouldn't even go as far as saying paranormal. That looks like it's just a light anomaly. It's interesting though, but I do see something in the middle where you were speaking.
I see that, yeah.
I wonder if that's what they were mainly talking about.
That's where my eyes were drawn originally. I was just trying to see the demonic faces around the edges.
Yeah, that's what I was looking at first, because I remember when you were reading that, they were saying along the edges of the photo. I don't personally see anything along the edges. I'll go over it again. We do try to go over these after we're done shooting too, to maybe see if there's something we missed. So if we do miss something, we'll definitely be bringing it up on the next episode. Here, though, I'm only seeing what they're seeing in the middle. I don't know if they mentioned the middle piece. I didn't really hear that, did they?
Yeah, they said they see a Native American.
A Native American.
Like they were kneeling down or something.
So that's an interesting description. I'm glad that they mentioned that. That way I can try to piece this together as a Native American.
I see 2 hands at the bottom. And
I see what looks like a face right here. Do you see that?
Yeah.
Like maybe like a
hunchback.
Like a hunchback or elderly.
Like a big brown cloak.
Some decrepit, crazy Native American. I can see. I see that. This looks a lot like a light, like a lamp.
Yes.
That's spooky. I see the face there. Again, this could be just a case of our minds just forming the face or seeing it, because it's like there's similar features. But yeah, I do see the face. You can see where it's shadowed around the eyes, where the eyes would be. That really does help the mind to form the image of a face, as well as where the nose is. You can see the cheekbone. I was just about to mention that where the shadow is here, almost like, because we said there was a lamp here, like the light would be shining down and shadowing here, and it's almost like perfect.
Yeah.
It's spooky. It's scary.
Even the little chin.
It's scary, and I mean, I would have to say, what a lucky capture.
But then, like, look how big the forehead is. But then we were actually reading something earlier, and they were asking, why do you never see any caveman ghosts?
This does give you an idea of maybe it does. Maybe you do see caveman ghosts. I mean,
right. Listen to my theory, okay?
Okay.
So.
I thought I was in trouble. She gave me that nudge and that look.
So, right, we have the cave. I think it's probably just in my brain because we read it earlier about caveman ghosts. But you see where its hands are? Can you see them at the bottom? The two white lights.
Not here.
That, yeah.
Is that it?
A hand, and then another one underneath that.
Down here?
Yeah.
Well, why is its head up here?
Because, listen, hear me out, right?
It's got the gorilla arms.
Evolution.
Oh, I see where this is going. I've seen scary movies and like scary photos and stuff where like the ghost or demon has like super long arms that are crazy, you know? Like,
yeah. Little Nightmares, the game. There's a little monster like that.
Right, so. Exactly. So that's what I'm saying. If those are the hands, it's just some crazy demon now all of a sudden in my mind. Like we're gonna, and the natives, it's interesting they mentioned that because they were very spiritual. So if there were going to be any ghosts from around that time, I mean the natives were right up that alley. Like they were very spiritual people. If you read it, if you read into or do any like research on the Native American people, they were super spiritual.
That's just this person's opinion that it could be Native American, but
it depends on where it's at. I mean,
I get what they get. Like it's got the long black hair, straight black hair.
They do say like spirits and ghosts. I've read in several places. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
That's okay.
I didn't mean to cut you off. I agree with you. I can see.
I see anyway.
I see the features. I totally see the features that they're speaking of. But as for ghosts, and I think I've read on several pages that a lot of ghosts, a lot of hauntings, a lot of stuff. They claim that maybe the spirits are still around because they had a traumatic death or something happened. It happened quick, traumatic. It was a crazy time for them. Obviously, dying's a crazy time in general, but I mean, in incidences where like you're murdered or you get hit by a bus or something, like you just don't. They say you don't know you're dead, or maybe you're here with unfinished business. Well, the Native Americans were wiped out by the European settlers in America. So
by buses.
Maybe there might have been some modern bus, but no. Back when they were settling in America, they pretty much cleared out as much land as possible, and they pretty much either went to war with them and killed off a lot of them, and that, not just that, but with disease. When they came over, they spread disease. It's kind of like, even if there are still islands to this day that have civilizations on them that haven't really interacted with the outside world, so we're not supposed to come in contact with them, because if we do, the common cold that we have could wipe the entire tribe out. It was the same thing with the Native Americans. When the European settlers came over, they carried what we would consider simple viruses and illnesses, and those viruses and illnesses wiped out a lot of them. And you can imagine how traumatic that was for a lot of these tribes, because just like anywhere else, there was many tribes, and they were pretty much like herded into their own little communities, and was like, this isn't your land anymore. And when they fought for it, obviously they were met with gunfire, and they, what they had to fight back with was nothing, so it was probably a really crazy time. So if that description of a ghost or haunting is true, Native Americans would definitely fall into the category of ghosts, of hauntings, because they died in a very traumatic, crazy, unexplained to them kind of way,
Yeah, absolutely. I agree 100%. I still reckon it's an evolutionary primate, but
it has a hunchback, kind of looks like a witch.
Do you know what? I've been looking at it, right? It looks like Frankenstein's monster.
Looks like Frankenstein's a wizard.
Do you see it? Let's go with the big forehead with the little bubbles on the head.
I do see it. Yeah. I see it.
But it does. Oh, it's creepy.
It's a creepy picture. There's no way around it not being creepy. But being that it's so dark, I mean, it's what gets me is like all these ghosts are caught in the dark.
It's always at nighttime.
It's always at night, and the nighttime is just so easy to depict things as something that they're not.
But look, though, you can see it on the grass.
I will say that they did at least catch this one under a lamp. You can tell by, I don't know if maybe their light did that, but I'm thinking that's this lamp up here, lighting up the area.
Big, yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah. I'm not positive. It doesn't look edited to me. I'm not a professional in that field, though. If you are, chime in anytime. Save me. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and rate this one on a paranormal scale. What do you think?
Look at it from the full image without it being zoomed in. I would probably put that up there. The features look so prominent. Again, it's hard to say because you don't know the person, you don't know if they're genuine, don't know if it's been photoshopped. We have no reason to believe that it has been photoshopped. To me, it looks like it hasn't been.
I mean, that does make it a difficult decision.
But I would really give this a 7. Like, if I took this picture and saw that, I would be a bit freaked.
Yeah. So I think 7's a good rating.
Mm-hmm.
It's again, you can clearly see something there. I'm not a professional, so I don't know if that's photoshopped or not. I don't think I could do that myself. I would, if this was my image and I pulled it up and seen that, I'd probably have to, I'd say about 7. I'll agree with you on that. Yeah, I'll give it a 7 out of 10. It's definitely spooky. I mentioned before why they always catch spirits at night. But I have to hold my tongue on that one because this one's caught under a light. I mean, this is directly under what looks like, to me, a lamp. And you can clearly see around it the light. And it's caught within the light. It's not caught out here somewhere where you could easily be like, it could have been a tree or something. That just was taking form of a spirit or something spooky.
It's such a clear image.
It is. So yeah, I think 7 is a fair rating for that.
It's a spooky one.
Yeah. So I think we have another photo for you. We'll move on to that. So this next image does have a backstory as well. The story goes on to say, my dad sometimes experiences unexplained goings-on in his house. Last night they heard 2 loud bangs from the kitchen, however found nothing and thought nothing of it. This morning, they went into the kitchen and found a white powdery substance on the worktop leading to under the toaster.
They were having a party last night.
Ooh. And I explained powdery substance. Yeah, that's interesting.
There's a reason your dad didn't explain that to you.
That's why they thought nothing of it until the morning, when they were looking for the rest. They picked up the toaster and found this strange drawing underneath, almost like 5 matchstick men joined together. It's not an imprint of the toaster. They have nothing of that shape and still don't know what the powder was. I think I have an idea. Any thoughts on the drawing?
What?
Let's take a look.
I see it. There's like little matchstick men holding hands.
Yeah. It's not creepy to me. I would probably be questioning what it was as well, if I moved the toaster and seen that. To me personally, it kind of looks like it's very similar to what the heating element might look like inside of a toaster. As for the powder, probably just from the bread.
Do you think the heating bit would be underneath the toaster, like, because not even toast stuff, it's the heaters are on the side?
That's true.
Because I thought it might be that as well, but then I was just thinking,
I guess it really depends on what kind of toaster. I mean, it's, people have toaster ovens, and then they have the toasters, the standard ones that you would imagine.
We would like to see a picture of the bottom of the toaster.
Yeah, if I had a picture of what kind of toaster this was, then it would make this a lot easier to figure out. If it was actually like a toaster oven, they're more of like on the sides. I don't know, like maybe it heats from the bottom, from beneath, and from the top, like top and bottom style. If that's the case, then I would say that this is probably just something from the element. I don't think that it's in my opinion, it's very paranormal. As for the white residue, I could easily imagine that just being,
stuff under the toaster.
Yeah, you make things in that toaster. you might not notice, but when you're doing things around it, it collects dust. It collects, especially, I mean, what do you put in a toaster? Usually like a bread product. Really.
Actually, saying that over time, it could be that it was the toaster with like heating elements at the bottom, which had holes in the bottom, and that could all just be like crumbs from over time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it just, they either fell like that, or even like that could have been from the bread, and something did drip from inside of it and just form that image over top of whatever that dust is right there. I mean, you can clearly tell it's some sort of a powder, but bread sometimes comes with that.
Yeah, like there's like flour on top.
Yeah, it's like the flour from it. Yeah, exactly. Or if it is a toaster oven, you could have been putting a flour in there to make something, to rise your own bread or something. Yeah. Interesting nonetheless. I mean, it is kind of weird when you think about it, even if that is a heating element. It's spooky to think that they designed them to look, I don't think they do it on purpose, but it's kind of weird to think, like, this looks like some Blair Witch shit.
Oh, they totally did it on purpose.
Yeah.
If I was a toaster designer, I would be on that shit.
You ready for your Blair Witch toasty? Yeah, it's crazy.
It looks creepy, but I would need to see the bottom of the toaster.
If we could get a picture of the toaster, or even a description of what kind of toaster it was, an honest description, that would definitely help a lot more. It would help to figure out what might have caused that. Even if it was something paranormal, I would just have to question what the hell this spirit was doing under your toaster. Right?
Yeah, if it wanted you to see this...
Yeah, usually they're trying to make their presence known, and I don't think...
Or maybe it had to go into the toaster, because that's where the crumbs were. It had nowhere else to mark its
Well, they
thing.
do say that, to manifest, they have to draw their energy from something, like lights and stuff. Maybe it was drawing its energy from the toaster. I don't know.
Right.
Is that a little bit of the residue left over? I don't know. It's interesting, though.
It was an interesting one. We've never had anything like this before.
No, I don't. I haven't really seen anything like this before. I wouldn't put it down as paranormal, though. Not me. I would probably be. I personally, for one, if I moved the toaster and seen that, I wouldn't even have given it a second thought. I would just be like, what the hell? Look how dirty it is under here, and I would have wiped it up. I wouldn't have been spooked at all about that. I would have just assumed it was something to do with the toaster.
Yeah, I agree. Paranormal scale?
0.
0.
I don't think it's paranormal.
I give it a 2 for the backstory.
The backstory is, that is interesting. I mean, that does add a little bit of something, but when it comes to this image, I'm going to give it a 0. This image, yes. Yeah, the image gives it a 0, only because, and especially with toasters and stuff, there's a lot going on in there, and a lot of the mechanics and the hardware inside could easily have caused that, in my opinion. All right, so those are the images. Interesting.
Very good.
Yeah, looks like we have a few stories for you, so we're gonna go ahead and dive right in. So we're moving on to stories now. Looks like we have time for one story today, so we're gonna dive right in, no hesitation. It's a little description of the story. They say, I got a weird phone call from the afterlife. This happened about 5 years ago. I was working at a translation company based here in I'm going to take a stab at this. It definitely says Honduras. Tegucigalpa?
I have no idea.
I don't know. You're going to be able to read this, so you decide. Yeah. So in Honduras. It was a 7-story building. That day, I went for lunch break and grabbed my phone. It was an old phone with no smartphone tech, just calls and texts.
Do you think this was like the 90s or?
I mean, either that or they just didn't. If they were it depends on what they did, really. What they say, 7-story building. So if it was an office job, probably, But if they worked, construction or something, I don't know. That's a good question.
Okay.
We can assume that, though. We can assume that, yeah. So they say, I finished lunch and took the elevator to the 7th floor. Inside, I got a phone call. and I looked at the screen, and I see this weird phone number with like 20 or more digits. So a much longer number than standard.
That's weird.
I'm not sure how the phone numbers in Honduras look, but I know in America that's not right. I decided to answer. There was a lot of static and white noise on the line, but it was a woman, and I understood everything she said. So this is how the call went. Keep in mind, this was all in Spanish. So they go on to explain the call. So I said, "Hello? Hello, who is this?" And we had a response, "Isaac, Isaac, Isaac." That's my name, though. Wow.
Weird.
That's super strange. So I went on to say, "Yes? Who's calling?" The woman on the other end, "Isaac, the angel is going to die?" That's interesting. Me, Who's going to die?" The woman, "Isaac, the angel, she's going to die." The call ended here. There was a lot of static and it dropped.
Ugh.
I mean, if I answered the phone and they were saying my name on the other end of it, I would first probably think I was being pranked. Especially with a weird, strange number. But to have the ongoing conversation end up like that, it's kind of, either way you look at it, pretty spooky stuff. So they do go on to say here, it freaked me out a lot because my niece's nickname was Angelita, which means little angel. She was born with Down syndrome and a really bad heart condition that made life for her so hard during the 2 years she was with us.
Aww.
That's sad. That day, she was scheduled for heart surgery at the main hospital here. We made a GoFundMe campaign. GoFundMe was definitely not in the 90s.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm.
So they probably just had an old phone. So we made a GoFundMe campaign for her, and lots of people helped, specifically from the U.S. It's great. That night, she went into surgery, and it was all okay. Doctors were taking care of her. The next day is when she had complications and was moved to ICU. The whole family was at home when we got the terrible news that her heart had stopped and passed away. Our whole world crumbled, and I was struck with depression for about a year. To this day, I have no idea who called me that day.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's wow. Yeah, that's strange. And I was thinking like, if that was me, I would immediately assume I was being pranked. But I was thinking it was in the 90s. And in the 90s, that was super easy to prank your friends. In America, you could dial *69, and that immediately wiped your number out from caller ID. So you'd hit, I think it was *69, either that or *67, one of those numbers, and then you could call somebody and you'd pop up as unknown. So, and then when they answered, they wouldn't know who's on the other end. So it was super easy back then to prank. But the whole GoFundMe idea just makes me believe they just had an older phone. So that kind of throws the whole theory of being pranked out the window. Not necessarily, but it kind of lowers my expectation of it being a prank, because
It doesn't sound like a prank phone call anyway.
and if it was, what a brutal prank. I mean,
It doesn't make any sense for a prank call,
the reason I bring that up is because of them saying Isaac, and not just once, but multiple times through the conversation, and that being this person's name. It's like only your friends and your family are going to know your phone number and your name, and unless they got it is, obviously it is, possible to get somebody's information.
And the fact that he heard a woman's voice, like he doesn't say it's a girl, he says it's a woman's voice.
That's true.
Makes me think like, why would a older woman be calling and being a bitch? You know?
Just being, especially if they knew. I mean, if they're going to be talking about this angel and how she's going to die, knowing that, he has a niece, or that name Angelita, which obviously nickname would be Angel. It's clearly in the name. That's just brutal.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just brutal. Even if you don't know she's about to die, like knowing Down syndrome, heart condition, that's just brutal to be pranking somebody. So, yeah, so weird.
This is Angel, she's going to die. Wow.
I don't know what to make of this one. It's one of those things that they do say like, oh, it was no smartphone, it was an old phone, just calls and text. I don't know if this is kind of like what I was speaking about in the last episode where they were hyping up using this like irrelevant information to hype up the story.
But maybe it was easier for ghosts to reach people when we had older technology.
Maybe. I mean, if that's maybe that's what they were trying to convey.
Strange.
I mean, it's just one of those things where if this took place, that's just in my mind. I go two places, and the first place my mind jumps to is like somebody's heartless enough to prank you and say some shit like that. I mean, if that's the case, that's some heartless shit. I mean,
yeah, that's sick.
Yeah, that's
fucked up.
Sick, twisted. I would like to believe that nobody is that heartless. So, which leads me to think maybe it's what he's saying is true. Like this happened, and it was like something crazy paranormal. It's crazy. I guess on a paranormal scale, I'm going to leave it in the halfway mark. I'm going to say 5 out of 10 for this one, just because it sounds like to me, I know there's heartless people in this world, and I think that some people are heartless enough to do that. I would like to believe that they're not, but I know that there are. And I just know that this could have gone 50-50. Like, it could have been someone pranking, and at the same time, they could have experienced something extremely paranormal there and was just getting a message relayed. So I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10 on the paranormal. What about you?
I was going to say 4, but then you're going to say, you got one below me.
Every time. I swear she thinks she's on The Price is Right or something. Except for she'd be going one above me. But she's just protecting herself.
Man, like I said, the stories are hard. They're harder to judge than the videos and photos. Based on the phone call and what happened that day, again, going on the fact, hopefully no one is this heartless. I just feel like the fact it was so clear. Why would they? I felt like if a spirit wanted to tell you something, they wouldn't tell you it. They wouldn't be able to get a hold of you through a phone.
And if they were able to get a hold of you through the phone, it would be super easy for them to just appear before you and be like, hey, listen, I know you're freaking out, but you would have been freaking out if I called you too, so let me tell you something. But yeah.
And then they could call people all the time as well.
I mean, I've gotten a lot of calls from unknown numbers that I just haven't answered, so maybe it was like my grandpa or something, I don't know. Makes me want to answer it next time,
Yeah, next episode. So we've been answering all our unknown calls, and they've all been like ghosts.
Turns out I have a lot of debts I didn't know about.
Yeah, no, I'd turn with you. 5 out of 5.
5, yeah.
5 out of 10.
I think that's fair. I will say if you took it for face value and you put it on a scare factor, and you just like say we knew this person and we were like, they have no reason to lie to me about this. I would probably put it at an 8, maybe out of 10 on a scare factor, just taking it for face value. But on taking it for what it is, like we don't know this person, and we're just gonna try to like place it. Yeah, 5's that's a fair judgment. But definitely an interesting story, and regardless, to get a call like that would be scary, to say the least.
I'd be like, check out my phone across the room and put the phone.
Right, I'm getting a new phone, and I'm definitely upgrading to an iPhone.
I find phones scary enough when it's someone that I know is calling on the end of the phone. I'm too anxious. I'm like, oh, no.
That's true, yeah. I do all the answering around here. So yeah, that's the one story we had time for. Definitely an interesting one. Yeah, so that it's just is what it is. We said it before. Stories are hard to judge. So we try to give our best evaluation based off of understanding that, they could be easily faked to spook us, or depending on if we know the person or not. So
Again, they're going back to the whole heartless thing. I feel like if someone's going to make up this story, that's heartless of them to do, to put that into a story.
Yeah, you know, we went on to say, like, it'd be heartless for someone to prank you for that. If that story's true and, you know, Angelita was a real person and did die, it would be completely heartless of the person to even throw her name in there like that. And to
Or
use
to
her
even
as an
just make
example.
it up and to begin with, like...
Yeah, even to make up a story like that. I mean, there are people that have heart conditions and shit. I mean, it's just, yeah, it's not very nice.
So young as well, but again, we don't know, so...
Right. But definitely worth the read. Worth, you know, at least giving it a shot. Again, we're into any stories that you have for us, especially if you got any pictures or video evidence. Which brings me to my next point. If you do have any experiences that you would like to share, along with video or picture evidence, feel free to submit it to us at want2believeYou@gmail.com, or you can contact us on Facebook, leave a comment on our page, or if you don't feel comfortable with that, feel free just to send us a message. Again, it's want2believeYou@gmail.com.
To follow up with Helen, if you watched our last video of unboxing the haunted doll, some strange stuff has happened. We're not going to tell you just yet because we want to save it all for one video that we're going to make. As soon as our camera gets here, we're going to record her overnight and see what she does. But some stuff has been happening that's a bit unexplainable and a bit strange. But again, stay tuned. We will tell you for that when the time comes. But until then...
So yes, please, if you have anything as well, again, we're going to be uploading videos here soon of our own, hopefully, paranormal experiences. And if you have anything that you want to show us, believe me, we're not just here trying to pick you apart. We want convincing stuff. So if you like this video, please give us a like. Feel free to subscribe as well. We would definitely appreciate that. Again, we're going to have our own experiences here soon, hopefully, with our new guest, Helen. So we're going to get that uploaded to you guys ASAP. If you have anything you would like to submit, please do. We're dying to read it, to see it, to watch it. We really want to share these experiences with everybody else too, because we get amazing feedback about this stuff. And there's people out there just like us. We're out here to be convinced because I want to believe you. Do you?
I want to believe you.